One of the most important sites in En Kerem is the Church of the Visitation awaiting for us at the top of the stairs. We're standing in front of the Church of the Visitation. The church commemorates an event from the New Testament. After the Annunciation to Mary, which takes place in the Galilee in Nazareth, Joseph and Mary come to visit a relative called Elizabeth. Just as Mary, Elizabeth is also pregnant, but she's pregnant 6 months ahead of Mary. Who is she carrying in her womb? Who will later be known as John the Baptist, because Ein Kerem is the birthplace of John the Baptist. Mary visits Elizabeth. Elizabeth is related to Mary, and Elizabeth is married to a Kohen, a temple priest serving in the Jewish temple, whose name is Zechariah. This is believed to be the house of Elizabeth and Zechariah. The church is a Franciscan Catholic church. The Franciscans are Custodia Terra Santa, the keepers of the holy places. And once upon meeting one another, it is Mary that sings the Magnificat. Magnificat, a famous prayer, and Elizabeth responds with Ave Maria. Let's enter the church. In the garden of this beautiful church, what we see is the statue of the Visitation when Mary comes to visit Elizabeth. Elizabeth is much older than Mary, and she is 6 months pregnant ahead of Mary. Another thing we see here in the garden of the church is the prayer, the Magnificat, in many different languages. So when visiting the church, you could search for the prayer in your language. Ours would be Hebrew, and there it is right there in Hebrew. Tigdal nafshi et Adonai v'tagel ruchi be'Elohe Yeshua. We are in the lower chapel of the Church of the Visitation, and what we have here is the story, and the story is that Mary and Joseph come to visit Elizabeth here in Ein Kerem. And from here they will continue to Bethlehem, where Jesus will be born. Elizabeth is married to Zechariah, a Kohen serving in the Jewish temple. Now, once he hears that his wife Elizabeth is about to give birth, he loses his speech. He regains his speech only after he names John. Once Herod, or Herod the Great, hears that the Messiah, King of the Jews, was born, and he confers with his close confidants, where would that be? They tell him, of course, Bethlehem, because Bethlehem is the city of David. So what does Herod do? Herod orders the slaying of all male babies under the age of 2. This, in the New Testament, is known as the slaughter of the innocents, and these are the decorations that we have here in the Church of the Visitation. The architect who works for the Franciscans from the 1920s almost to the 1950s is a very famous Italian architect known as Antonio Barluzzi. Barluzzi builds beautiful churches. The Church of the Visitation is one of those churches built by Antonio Barluzzi, and let's enter the church. Come.